Honda's Pilot has been among our favorite ways to move lots of people and gear ever since it first appeared shortly after the dawn of the century. And we've also always liked the Odyssey minivan, so when the new Pilot debuted for 2016 looking an awful lot like the Odyssey, we immediately put on our order for a long-termer. Okay, we probably would have wanted one no matter what it looked like. There are Odyssey bones beneath that Odyssey aping skin, but there's also a new, 280 horsepower V6 paired with the first 9-speed automatic ever to pass through our long-term fleet. The 9-speed is standard on the Touring and the top-off-the-line Elite trim levels. We chose that latter because it comes with a 2-place second row that limits occupancy to 7 persons, and then only if the 3 of them in the rearmost seat typically state their ages by holding up fingers. We have concluded that this is the maximum occupancy threshold for maintaining driver sanity. At a base price of $31,045, an entry-level front-wheel drive Pilot LX includes a rear-view camera, push-button start, a tilting and telescoping steering column, and a stereo that includes Bluetooth and USB connectivity. By the time you've ascended to the penultimate $42,070 Touring, you've added remote starting, second-row seats that fold at the touch of a button, 3-zone automatic climate control, LED ambient lighting, a 10-way power-adjustable driver's seat, 4 additional USB ports for a total of 3 in the front and 2 in the second row, leather upholstery, navigation, and a Blu-ray rear seat entertainment system. The last step up to Elite adds all-wheel drive, heated and cooled front seats, heated rear seats, an extra-large sunroof, and the most feature-heavy version of the Honda Sensing package. Highlights of the latter package are forward collision warning with automatic braking, blind spot monitoring, and lane keeping assist. The total price came to $47,955 after accessories, such as a trailer hitch receiver and roof rail crossbars were tacked on. Elite, but unlucky we wanted to divert attention from our Pilot Stadmobile profile and toward its top-tier status with a vanity plate, L337, see Urban Dictionary if you're confused, but our loan agreements with auto manufacturers don't allow it. Too bad. Since that might have avoided the awkwardness that followed when we got a parking ticket in the Pilot, when to pay it, and learned just how many people have received and not paid Ann Arbor parking tickets on Honda press vehicles wearing California manufacturer plates beginning in 3421. For the record, we're not the only publication in the neighborhood. Aside from that ticket, we've incurred no expenses in the Pilot beyond the cost of fuel, which it currently consumes at a rate of 1 gallon every 21 or so miles. For a luxury-packed 7-seater weighing 4,351 pounds, that's not so bad. On its initial test outing, it hit 60 miles per hour in 6.0 seconds and blitzed the quarter-mile in 14.6 at 95 miles per hour, which were best of V6 Dodge Challenger. Skid pad grip of 0.81 grams is reasonable for the class, and its 172-foot stopping distance from 70 miles per hour places the Honda among the best family haulers. Subjective aspects that are so far earning praise include seat comfort in the first 2 rows. Nobody old enough to speak complete sentences has yet been convinced to spend sufficient time in the way back to comment, and a serene highway ride. Negative logbook comments have focused on the infuriating touchscreen infotainment system and a short-sighted adaptive cruise control system that brakes abruptly and allows speed to fluctuate more than most systems, including going well beyond the set speed when accelerating. As summer road trip season gets into full swing here in the next few months, we'll find plenty more to love and loathe. What we like: the space inside the Honda Pilot makes it ideal for hauling all manner of people and stuff. The numerous cubbies are proving especially popular. After driving it to Breaks, Virginia, for a 24-hour adventure race, which sounds to the rest of the staff like a great way to spoil an otherwise lovely weekend in Virginia, Tech Director Eric Tingwall wrote an ode to the Pilot's center console. It's big enough to stash tens of thousands of calories of snack foods, but not so deep that they disappear into a dark hole never to be recovered. And when it's time to feast, you close the tambour door and use it as a serving tray, never worrying that something will slide off, because the door is slightly recessed below the edges of the console. Beyond the pilot's usefulness as a mobile snack center, the Honda's 21 miles per gallon in our hands is pretty good for a 7-seater. What we don't like, the push-button shifter, is maddening and silly. Given how much space is allotted to those buttons, why isn't it just a regular shifter? Instead, there are buttons of different sizes and shapes situated in different planes for different functions. Push a button for park, drive, or neutral, but to engage reverse, you tug on a switch. And, since the Pilot so strongly resembles a minivan now, the packaging compromises relative to the Odyssey are that much more frustrating. But maybe, as designers try to pack more space into crossovers built on car and minivan platforms, crossovers will slowly start to morph back into their original shapes, and we'll see a slow migration of buyers toward the uncompromised practicality of the hatchback and the minivan. Or perhaps not. What went wrong, in the sort of Washington, D.C., parking garage where you might expect to find a Law and Order villain lurking in the shadows? One of our contributors encountered a far more real menace, a pipe obscured by a support column. The pipe scraped along the left rear fender, with the damage fortunately confined largely to the plastic trim piece around the wheel well, although it did dig into the quarter panel and the bumper cover. Had more metal been damaged, the bill undoubtedly would have been higher than the $986 the mishap cost us. Our 10,000 service, an oil change and inspection, came to just $46. Our second service, at 20,000 miles, added a tire rotation and a change of the rear differential's fluid and set us back $242. Where we went, it was a busy May and June for the Pilot. Copy Chief Caroline Pavia Rauchman and her family used it to cross the Kentucky Derby off their bucket list. It was home for just a few days before heading down to Washington, D.C. From there, it proceeded to the northern reaches of Michigan and then went straight into a return trip to Virginia, shuttling people and gear to CD's Lightning Lap X coming in the October issue. On the return trip, it detoured through New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, for reasons we are not quite sure about. By the time it returned from this trip, it had accumulated more than 7,000 miles in just 1 month. We don't expect the remaining 20,000 to pass quite as quickly, but the Pilot is reserved for road trips most weekends between now and the end of August.